Are we recording? Yes! We are in business. I hope my armpits aren't sweaty. I'm just gonna do my best to be myself. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you are watching this video, welcome. Okay, scrap all of that. Hey, if this is the first time you are coming onto my YouTube channel, welcome. My name is Aminata Kamara. I am a broadcaster, presenter for BBC Radio Leicester, but I also do a number of other things, and this video is basically a space for me to just be really honest, really myself. I don't know why I'm shouting, but hopefully it will help to convey the message that I want to bring to you today. So I really wanted to contribute to the conversation around everything that's been going on lately with regards to Black Lives Matter. And I wanted to contribute in a fresh way, in a different way that maybe other people haven't yet contributed. And I'm not too sure that's possible because everyone is saying something or saying nothing, which in and of itself is saying a lot of things. So I am just going to be real, as I love to be, as best as I can be. And my mouth is already dry. So basically this YouTube video is going to be a little bit of a composition of things that have really stood out to me in all of this. So conversations I've had with friends, messages and things that I've seen on social media, and kind of my response to all of that, and hopefully try and capture some of the thoughts and feelings I've been thinking and feeling along the way, because I felt so many different things I can't even begin to tell you. And I want to start with probably a really big question which has bugged me, has bugged other people, and that's,
should I ask my black friends if they're okay?
I think it feels so far-fetched, because if someone is your friend, you would be naturally inclined to ask if they're okay if you knew that something is bothering them. And I think with this whole issue, people haven't really understood why it's been... Okay, let me be straight. I feel like a majority of white people haven't really understood why this issue has affected Black people in the UK. I think people have automatically viewed this as an American issue and an issue that doesn't affect us here. But my goodness, it does. And I'm going to try and explain why it does. For me, as a Black woman, just turned 30 the other day, I have experienced varied degrees of racism. I've also experienced positive racism, which I probably will touch on in a separate video because
that's a whole thing in itself.
And I think the confusion comes from a place of which people not understanding the Black experience. If you've never experienced racism, if you've never experienced discrimination, if you are not Black, you're going to really struggle with this. And I think I highly commend those who have entered into the conversation. I commend those who have stepped into this space and chosen to understand it in a way where they can't physically step into those shoes, but they've attempted to. And for those people, high five to you. Literally, it's bravery, but it's something that's so necessary. So should I ask my Black friends if they're okay? I can't answer that question for you, in all honesty, because
I do not speak for every single Black person. And this is part of the issue.
Black people have felt a pressure to be a certain way, to represent, well, I know I've certainly felt the need to represent the whole of the Black race, the whole of the Black community. And it's borderline impossible, because within our Blackness, within our Blackness, there is so much individuality, and we've got Black Africans, Black Caribbeans, Black every other ethnicity within that. Black British, Black whatever. It's so varied. And even within that, for goodness sake, we are all individuals. So if you know someone who is Black, if you have a close relationship with them, I think it's important to be curious. And even as a Black person myself, I have been curious. Now, when this whole George Floyd tragedy happened, I remember seeing it not long after it happened. I stumbled across it on Tuesday night, and I think it happened during the day, Tuesday. And I remember when I saw it, I just scrolled. I saw a little bit of it and I scrolled past because I've become quite desensitized to these things, as many other Black people have. And again, I'm not speaking for the whole Black race. I'm just saying for those in the majority. We've become desensitized to these things because we see it all the time. We experience it all the time. And knowing that it's just another story, that has just become very normalized. So I remember seeing it and just looking at it briefly and just scrolling past. And in the morning, it became quite a hot topic between myself and my girlfriends in our WhatsApp group. And then I looked and I thought, let me go back and look at this. I watched it from start to finish. I then started looking into it more. I saw it from different angles. I have watched that video countless times. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've watched it. And I've watched it that many times because I've tried to understand why this happened. I'm trying to understand why someone would feel the need or the desire to exert that much level of force upon someone to the point at which they die. And I have that much faith in humanity that I was just trying to figure this out. I was trying to understand what in the world was going through that police officer's mind. I have this weird interest in grief and pain. And I think because I've experienced that myself, in my attempt to combat it, in my way to overcome it, I try to attack it head on. I hate running away from things because I feel like if you run away from it, it's only gonna hunt you down sooner or later. So I choose to run into it, to fight the pain and the feeling and run in and try and understand it, try and comprehend it, try and make sense of it so that I can deal with the pain. And the pain comes from a place of, and this is what I feel like a lot of Black people, people of colour are feeling right now. And it's a sense of that could have been me, that could have been my brother, my father, my uncle, my relative. And not only that, I think over the years, we have all experienced a level of discrimination. We've all experienced prejudice. We've all been judged based on what we look like. We've all been perceived as people who are violent, people who are aggressive, people who are criminals, people who, on the flip side, are also strong. So people who have the ability to withstand pain to an exceptional level in a way in which sometimes we're perceived as being superhuman, inhuman. And I think for those reasons, we have been treated differently. So where someone is screaming out, I cannot breathe, I cannot breathe, there's this type of perception that you're strong, you can handle it, you can take it, and therefore I'm going to exert my force. On the flip side of that, it's a sense of, I have power, I have authority, and I have the ability to silence you. And therefore, I'm going to do all I can to show you, the victim, to show the bystanders, to show my colleagues that I am in control, that we are in control. And I think that is exactly what Black people have been feeling We've been feeling this sense of pressure, this sense of pain, this sense of helplessness, that no matter what we do, we will not win. No matter what we do, we will never be able to be at the top, because there will always be some form of oppression. There will always be some form of force that is going to keep us at the bottom. And that is the pain. That is the pain that we are feeling right here in the UK. Wherever we are across the world, we're equally feeling that pain that George Floyd felt. We're equally feeling that sense of helplessness where we're crying out, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I almost want you to just close your eyes for a minute and just picture, literally close your eyes with me right now. And just picture a sense of helplessness when someone is strangling you. Someone is choking you. You're crying out. You're crying out saying, I can't breathe. You're crying out feeling helpless. And there is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. There is nothing anybody around you can do. You're helpless. And imagine that feeling of helplessness happening over 400 plus years of feeling trampled on. Now, I have never been enslaved. Like I said, I just turned 30. I've never been a slave. But to this very day, I feel the pain of feeling worthless, of feeling helpless, of feeling undervalued, unloved, not seen, not heard, not appreciated. These are the various levels of feelings that Black people feel in the workplace, at school, when you're walking into a shop, when you're walking down the street, when you're stopped by a police officer, when you're judged for the type of car that you drive, when you're judged for the way that you speak, when you're judged for the clothes that you wear. For goodness sake, why can't people see? Why can't people understand? But I don't blame those who have not walked in these shoes. I don't blame them for the fact that they can't see this pain of what it means to be Black every single day. What it means to be othered and not to be perceived as normal. Like, let's stop playing games. To be white is to be perceived as normal. I can't walk into work and say,
Yo, wagwan, me chargy.
like, I can't do that, because you'll be like, yo,
What was that Bob Marley-ish that you were just spitting?
Somebody will say that, and that doesn't make sense.
but that's how you perceive my Blackness, as something super excitable. Mate, I'm just a human being. Like, I braided my hair the other day, and the amount of comments I've had from people, white colleagues, white friends, oh my God, like,
It's just my hair. Like, stop fetishizing me. Stop making me out to be some kind of weirdo.
the question was, should I ask my Black friends if they're okay? I think in the midst of everything that I've said, we're not okay. We're most definitely not okay. And depending on your relationship with someone who is Black, and I'm saying Black and not people of colour or BAME or BME, because that is a whole heap of category and people and things that personally I don't ascribe to, and our experiences are very different. I'm a Black woman and I'm going to talk from a perspective of a Black woman. We're not okay. We're facing a trauma that has been on our backs for centuries, and we're carrying that. Why are we still carrying that? Because the effects of that are still impacting us today. We're living in a society where the white are the ruling class, where you're most likely to see white middle-aged men being the position of leadership. If I tell you, picture a boss, picture someone who is a CEO of a company, what do you see? What's the first thing that you see? You don't see a black woman that looks like me. And when you don't see that, for me, it's difficult to feel like I can achieve that unless I strive and I work really hard and I push against all odds. And that is exactly what myself and many people who look like me are doing. For the millionth time, should I ask my black friends if they are okay? I can't answer that for you because everybody is different. Everyone's experiences are different. Some people are going to welcome the conversation and some people are not. I, on a personal level, will welcome the conversation because I think it's a time at which we need to be having open conversations. And as much as a lot of people are saying we need to let non-people of colour do the work, as much as I agree with that, I think part of that work is going to be partnership working. And I'm not going to expect a white person to understand what I'm going through without speaking to me directly or not understanding it from a black perspective. So for me, reach out to me, talk to me, but understand that I'm hurting and I'm feeling the pain. So it's going to be difficult for me to probably be able to have the most rational, most thought out conversation. Pick the time, pick the moment, and be sensitive. And if you get shut down,
Mate, you're gonna have to hold that one.
you're gonna have to hold it. It's nothing personal. It's a difficult time. Some people may not welcome the conversation at all. They might be completely against it. And that is completely fine. Like I said, we're hurting. But for those who can have the conversation, do that. But don't let it end there. Go away and do the research. Don't expect me or other people like me to be able to provide you with the answers. For so many years, we've been saying this. We've been talking about these things for years and years and years and years, and we've been shut down. And finally, a lot of people are now paying attention.
Great! Go and do the work. Go and do the research. The resources are out there. There's so much information now available on social media, online. Just start somewhere.
One thing I will say is that if you are white, I want you to ask yourself this question. And for me, this has been a turning point in my learning on race. And that question is, what does it mean to be white? What does it mean to be white? What does whiteness mean to you? Please go away and begin the work there. And I think once you're able to do that, and I guarantee you probably have never been asked that question before. You've probably never had to consider that. But as black people, we've had to do that because we've had to view ourselves as non-white. You only have to look at an application form to see, you've got white and then you've got black British and all these other subcategories. I'm black British, but I'm not British. I'm very different from what we think about when we say the word British. So for years, we've been asking ourselves what it means to be black. We've been searching our history. We've been learning and understanding our history off our own backs because that hasn't been taught to us in school. So we're well far along the journey in understanding our identity. And I think white people need to go on a journey to understand their identity, to understand their history, to understand the British Empire, to understand colonial history. It's important that white people do that. And equally, black people, we need to, we have been doing that and we need to continue to do that as well. So that's kind of what I want to say on that issue. So I just have to top up my lip gloss because that rant made me lose quite a bit. I guess the point of this is to say that it's important to not walk away from this. It's important that you pay attention to this. It's important that you look at this. And when I say you,
I think I'm talking to white people.
I'm talking to white people. Sometimes it's scary to even admit that. I'm being straight. This message is for white people. And equally to validate the feelings that my black brothers and sisters are feeling. Like I said, I don't talk for every single black person. But as a black person, I can talk on this issue. White people as well, you can talk on this issue, and I think it's important that you do speak up. I think it's important that you do step into this space and don't be afraid. I think fear is what is going to continue to separate us. If we don't admit that we have an issue, the current issue at hand will continue to just replicate itself. I had a friend of mine, I've been friends with this girl since primary school, and she just said these comments that over the last few weeks have been like the most sinful words. Like, people have been making it clear that to say all lives matter, to say things like I don't see colour are exactly the issue. But yet still,
she felt the need to say these things to me.
to say things like I don't see colour, it's like you're dismissing who I am, what I've just explained to you, and the experience that I continuously go through every single day. The fact that I am different doesn't make me less than, and that is what we need to understand. So don't think that you are doing the right thing by saying I don't see colour. If you say you don't see colour, you're saying you don't see me.
You are not blind. You are not blind.
I'm black. I am black, for goodness sake. I have afro hair, I have braids, my skin is dark. I'm black! And you see me, you're not blind. I am black. So stop. If you say you don't see me, you're saying that you're just dismissing my whole experience, everything I am and everything that my parents, my ancestors, you're saying you're dismissing everything that they've been through. And that is the worst thing you could say at this time. It's not helpful, and it doesn't contribute to the conversation in a positive way. It's just silly. So just allow them kind of statements there and just listen. I've got something in my nose. Listen. Please listen. Just listen. If you haven't got anything to say, just listen. Radio 1Extra put out a talk, I believe it was this time last week. I will definitely share the link. And it was DJ Ace and Shawnee B were talking about their experiences as broadcasters, but also as men who have been othered and made to feel how your typical black person feels every single day, but also in some of the most extreme instances of racism as a parent, at parents' evenings, also just walking down the street and feeling like you have to make yourself smaller so that you don't intimidate people. So these are the experiences and these are the things that we're having to do to make you as white people not feel intimidated, because the moment you feel intimidated, the moment I have done something wrong and the moment I am the one that's going to get penalized. And I think a lot of this has awoken all of us and is making us say, well, we're fed up of it. Black people are fed up of it. White people are fed up of it. And I think it's high time that we entered into these conversations and not stayed silent. There is a greater pandemic that we are facing than COVID-19. And I don't know if it's God or whatever that has made everything happen at such a time as this, but my goodness, the timing couldn't be more exponential. I don't even know if that's a valid word to use right now, but the timing is just insane. This isn't about calling people out, white people out, to be racist. I think it's the time that we start paying attention to our biases. We all have biases. We all have perceptions of when we see certain people who look a certain way. It's so ingrained in our minds, in our culture, that we don't challenge these things. So even when we say things stuff as all lives matter, my goodness, we are not saying, white people, that you don't matter. You matter. We all matter. But at a state at which black people are dying, are being criminalized, black kids are more likely to be excluded from school, they're more likely to be imprisoned, at a rate at which we are suffering at a disproportionate level, even when we look at coronavirus. Do you not think it's time we paid attention to what is happening to black people? Is it not high time that we said that our brothers and sisters who are black, that their lives matter? Because if they are suffering, if they are dying, if they are being criminalized, if they are going through a number of different things, and the common denominator is the color of their skin, when a lot of those issues have nothing to do with the color of their skin, but that's how they are being treated, do you not think it's high time that we paid attention? This is why we are saying that Black Lives Matter. It's not to say that your life doesn't matter. It's to say that there is a community out there physically dying that needs our attention. And equality should be our highest agenda right now. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to say something on your social media feed. Don't be afraid to say something to your friend. Don't be afraid to say something when you see something in the workplace or wherever you are. Don't be afraid to call it out. This isn't a black issue. If we have been placed at the bottom of the hierarchy, if we are subject to white supremacy, surely it is white people that need to enter into that space and dismantle it. The fact that I am being stopped at a higher rate in stop and searches, why is that my fault and not the fault of the system? Why can't we pay attention to what's going on in the system?
Listen, people, we have a lot of work to do here, and this video is coming from a place of frustration and a place of being tired of saying the same thing over and over again. There is a reason why people are going out and protesting, because they are tired.
Willing to risk their lives in the midst of it all because we're tired. And there's no better time than now. We're not waiting. We're not waiting for the perfect moment for us to have a voice. Because I'm not going to wait for the next person to die. I'm not going to wait for it to be my brother. I'm not going to wait for it to be my sister. I'm not going to wait for it to be my friend before I say something. I'm going to say something now. So I hope you have found this video enlightening. I hope you found it informative. And I hope it has encouraged you, whether you're white, black, Asian, wherever you're from. I hope it's encouraged you to enter into the conversation and not be fearful of saying the wrong thing. And if you do say the wrong thing, own it, take it on the chin, get in touch with me. And I hope that we can move forward together. I love you. Take care. Thanks for listening. Woo! I have gone through so many emotions. I can't believe how many emotions I've gone through in this video. But anyway.